So I upgraded from the M1 iPad Pro to the latest M4 iPad Pro, and I kind of regret it because not only am I getting ripped off from Apple, I accepted the $385 trade-in program for my old M1 that I'm about to ship out at the end of this video. So please, if you can, make sure to leave that like button a like for me on taking a big L from Apple. But hey, since I did purchase the M4 out of pocket, I could say anything I want without sending the brand any draft or edits they could do on my videos. So specs, these are both the 11-inch version, and being the sheepsteak that I am, I purchased the low entry level model. So the iPad M1, which was released in 2021 for $20, which is kind of funny, is the 128GB model. Meanwhile, the M4 iPad Pro, this is the 258GB model, which are both the lowest entry iPad Pros for their years. And yes, I have their accessories on both of these two devices, the Magic Keyboard and their compatible Apple Pencils. And like every true comparison, let's start comparing them now. Now, before we actually go over the design, I do want to highlight the displays on both these two models because new this year is the OLED display on an iPad Pro. And wow, after viewing these two side by side, especially in a black background entirely, you notice that the Litwit Retina IPS LCD display on the M1 iPad Pro is definitely grayish when it comes to like the black color pixels. And yes, even though both of these do go up to 120 Hertz, even the M1 iPad Pro does support HDR10 as well as Dolby Vision, but it can only peak up to 600 nits. Meanwhile, the M4 with the new Apple Technology tandem OLED displays, basically two OLEDs on top of each other. It looks sharp, it looks crisp, and get this, in an outdoor situation, here's the M1. Oops, I accidentally have it upside down. Here's the M1. Max peak brightness for its nits is 600. This is up to 1500. And yeah, in an outdoor environment, clearly the M4 is much more visible. Ideal if you're like doing demonstrations or showing your clients stuff on your iPad, especially outdoors. And is also HDR10 as well, Dolby Vision, and up to 120 Hertz. It's significantly better and gorgeous looking. I'm sure graphic designers or people working in that similar field will definitely appreciate these new specs for its display. So the point for the best display easily goes to the M4 iPad Pro. Now let's talk about the design. Yes, it is significantly thinner than ever before. It's much thinner than the Apple Pencil itself. I have the iPod Nano, and yeah, it's stupid thin. Yeah, I even noticed the camera has a hard time focusing sometimes. But if you look at it, comparing the two side by side, the layout is very similar. USB-C ports located in the same spot. Your stereo speakers are located both right and left side. Power buttons also located in the same spot. It's just new for the M4, which is kind of annoying, is whenever you adjust the volume in landscape mode, it's reverse. When you have it in portrait mode, that's interesting. It's kind of annoying. I can't find the setting to disable that. If you know how to, feel free to comment down below, but I looked, can't find it. But before I get sidetracked, they're identical, just thinner. Even though it's thinner, a lot of people may assume that it is weaker in terms of bending. Well, a lot of fellow content creators, they went ahead and performed their own bend tests. My favorite one was mobilereviewa.ca. He found out that it's pretty sturdy, comparing it against like the traditional body iPad Pros. So even though it's thinner, it's actually more durable, which is quite interesting. Not by a whole lot though, so don't get any crazy ideas on sitting on your iPad. But with this thinness, I was assuming that it's gonna hold heat more. Well, no, I was wrong. There's always like a 2-degree noticeable difference between the thicker iPad and the thinner one. The new thinner iPad actually handles thermal better, has better thermal performance comparing against the thick boy right here, which is not really that thick. So I was quite shocked to seeing how my thermal gun was always showing a 2 temperature difference between the two, but they never once get uncomfortably hot to the point where I can't have it resting on my lap. But this new design is beneficial. So because of that, clearly the M4 iPad Pro gets another point. Although something I would have personally prefer to see is thinner bezels on the iPad Pro. Since they made the body thinner, it would have been cooler bezels were a little bit thinner, to the point where instead of an 11-inch iPad, it will be like a 12-inch iPad, very similar to like what Apple did with the MacBook Pros. Now, carrying on to the sound quality. Sound quality, I do want to say that the M4, I noticed that the sound quality sounds richer, more full, better than the previous generation speaker layout, even though they both have stereo speakers. Again, like I showed you earlier, the speakers are located in the same spot like the previous generation was. The M1 iPad Pro has been wearing the same body design for like the last 3 previous generation iPads, the M2, the M1, as well as the A something, I forgot the name, insert text right there. But both sound not too bad, but I have noticed that, again, the M4 somewhat sounds better, especially when you're watching low edit videos like yours truly or other content creators on YouTube. I prefer listening through here. Although when it comes to loudness, because I do use my iPad Pro as a speaker for like parties outdoors and such, especially like in remote areas, the M1 iPad, it's actually slightly louder. As I did like a cool little decibel test on this decibel test video, maxed out the audio, and the peak decibel levels was a little bit louder on the iPad M1. So because of that, I'm gonna give the point to the M1 iPad Pro, but I did have a hard time debating if both of them deserve it. So comment down below, let me know what you think based off this information. Who would you personally give the point to? But since this is louder, I'm giving it to the M1. Just use that data wisely for your decision making. So, similarities in common that these 2 generation iPads have. For starters, they both have a LiDAR sensor. They both have a USB-C port that can go up to 40 gigabits per second. They both will easily continue having support from Apple in iPad OS software abilities, since they are a part of the M series chipset family. They both feature FaceTime center stage. Just unfortunately, they still use the same terrible potato quality camera for the front facing camera. They both have the same battery life, and yes, they both have the scan documents ability that Apple is advertising. Just this one, the latest one, uses AI where it could actually remove the shadow, make it look better. But from my personal experience, I've been able to get very similar results by just scanning the paper in a better lit room. But the M1 does have the ultra wide sensor, a sensor that wasn't mentioned from Apple, that was removed from the brand new iPad Pro. So if you need an ultra wide camera, the M1 still has it. And the M1 also has an extra microphone as well, as it does have studio grade mic quality, what Apple marketing team was advertising. So your FaceTime calls will sound like this, and there's a vacuuming in the background. Now you're hearing me right now through the studio microphone array that's found on the M1 iPad Pro. So this is a real world example how it sounds like with noise distractions in the background. And let's see how the next iPad sounds. So we have one less microphone, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if this is studio grade quality like the previous generation iPads had, but same exact environment that you heard me from previously. The vacuum is still vacuuming in a different room, so real world example how it does when it comes to canceling background sounds on the M4 iPad Pro. And I was quite impressed on the microphone test, especially on the M4 iPad Pro. And it doesn't seem like it needs that additional microphone. It's probably a reason why Apple removed it. But I have noticed that the audio quality is a bit louder than it is on the M1 iPad. But nonetheless, both of them did a fantastic job in eliminating the vacuum noise that was in the background. So I'm going to let you guys also decide who gets the point on this one, because to me, I'm giving a point on both of them. Now, accessories. First party accessories to be exact. So I'm already giving a point to the M4 iPad Pro. The reason being because all these accessories are based off the first generation Magic Keyboard and the second generation Apple Pencil. The Apple Pencil and the Apple Pencil second generation are literally one-on-one clones. The only reason why there's a compatibility issue is because Apple decided to remove the wireless charger for the Apple Pencil to a new location where the Apple Pencil 2 does not connect. Only the Apple Pencil Pro connects to it. Then it also features everything that the Apple Pencil 2 has, but now it could do barrel rolls, squeeze detection, find my abilities, and even gives haptic feedback. And then for the Magic Keyboard, again, it's just an improvement. This is the black one. The earlier one you saw was the white one. You have a bigger trackpad, a better haptic feedback motor compared to the clickety clack from the original one. Keys feel identical, but you actually have a full function row right above here where I have an escape key, brightness control, volume control, everything else you could think of, including a lock so you can lock your device. And because the new design, it's not compatible. So the Magic Keyboard is not backwards compatible with, but it does feature a nice soft to touch aluminum premium feeling body. And there's a nice raise around the keyboard area that will prevent the keyboard marks to print on the display of your iPad. An issue I faced was the original one. And then it continues having the USB-C to charge your iPad wirelessly. Then if we look at the magnets, they're also placed differently. They're still a bunch in the same location, but they're just aligned differently, which is another reason why it's not compatible. There's like a 4, 5 by 3 by 3 block over here. It's altered. They moved it around. They purposely did this on purpose, where the previous accessories cannot connect to, because the smart pins are actually still exposed in the same location. It's just Apple moved it around and slightly moved it so it's non-compatible. There's like additional magnets right here. Same applies for the Apple Pencil. There's like 3, 2, and this one just utilizes 1. Okay, so for the final part, I saved the best for last because it's just performance. So you could pause this video right now and then like see how many cores the M1 has versus the M4. Keep in mind, this is the base one, so this one has 8 cores versus 10, which still has an overall best performance comparing it against the M1. But realistically, in the real world, for daily use and stuff, there's not a noticeable day difference between these two iPads. The M1 is already fast enough for most people, as the M series chipsets are just overkill in general. I think most would just be okay skipping the M4 and just save that money. Especially since, after all, again, it's stuck on iPad OS. It doesn't support Mac OS or any abilities to download like desktop style apps. But let's see if this is true. So I did download Final Cut on both of these two iPads to export a 4K video. So originally I was going to do a previous video I edited before, the tips and tricks video for the Magic Keyboard. Unfortunately, for some reason, my M1 iPad Pro decided to not cooperate, as it can no longer detect data like from different hard drives or flash drives. It can only charge. I don't know what happened to my iPad Pro. I think it just broke last minute. I didn't do anything. It just randomly stopped working. Maybe it's bugged, but not my responsibility anymore. It's going towards Apple. So this test was kind of annoying, but I did find out that Final Cut has a little demo you can install, which was like a 32-second clip, 4K. And I decided, well, let's just run this. Because if both of these two tablets get done at the same time, clearly something's wrong here. Apple's rigging something up. But to my surprise, no. After exporting this video, the iPad Pro M4 got done in just 13 seconds. Meanwhile, the M1 iPad Pro got done in 30 seconds, almost the same time as the length of the video. So seeing this massive difference between export times, the winner is the M4. The M4 is noticeably better when it comes to exporting data or rendering images. So clearly, if you do need an iPad to run on these type of situations, the M4 will be your pick. So it does win the overall performance by a lot, because if this video was longer, that 13 seconds could save you minutes or 10 minutes easily when it comes to exporting large video files like this. But for playing mobile games and such, you won't really see a noticeable change between the M1 as well as the M4. So the points are up, and that's the winner, the M4 iPad Pro. Now, I don't know how to properly end this video, but with the data that we covered, I'm sure you're able to make your decision on what move you're gonna go ahead and make. Thank you so much for watching.